Okay, by now, here we are in the month of March. If you're like me, you're very eager for the spring weather to get here. You want some beautiful color in your life. I can't get spring here for you any faster, but I can tell you where to come to definitely see beauty, and that is Ready, Set, Sew over in Eastridge. Melanie Coakley has kindly welcomed us back into the store. Good to see you.
Thanks, Julie. I love having you here.
I feel kind of like we're in a garden.
Yes.
So much color
I know.
around in this store.
It's a pleasure to come to work every day.
I bet it is. So we had a chance to come out and visit with you in February.
Right.
You had fun things going on for Valentine's Day.
Yes.
You realize, though, that come March, a lot of people are looking to celebrate some milestones in their lives. You
Yes.
have summer weddings coming up, graduations are around the corner.
Yes.
Quilting becomes very popular this time of year.
Quilting has always been a wonderful gift to give for any special occasion.
So what you do, though, at Ready, Set, Sew is you don't just do quilting.
No.
You do expert quilting. I mean, you've told me before, not to brag, but people know about you, Melanie, all across the region and beyond. They come to you for expertise.
Right. Well, I've traveled the country at least for the last 25, 30 years. I don't want to tell how old I am. But I've traveled and taught classes and empowered women to start businesses. So I travel everywhere from the East Coast to the West Coast.
So we're in front of your quilting machine.
Yes.
You know, I don't know much about how to quilt, but I know
Right.
how to appreciate a beautiful one.
Right.
When I find one, you're real proud, though, of the equipment that you have here and the technology that you use. So what is this particular quilting machine?
Right. Well, this is not your grandmother's quilting. So this is a computerized machine that you can either do an edge to edge, meaning it always goes back and forth to create the pattern that someone picks out for us to quilt
Okay.
on their pieced top. Or we can also free motion with this, meaning that whatever you can think of, you can draw with a sewing machine or
Which
with
your
this
daughter
quilting
Lauren
machine.
does so beautifully.
Yes, I should show you some of her stuff. It's incredible.
She's an artist, literally, she is an artist,
Yes.
and just discovered this talent of hers not too long ago. So you mentioned that people will come in and kind of pick a pattern and tell you what they're looking for. Does that
Yes.
mean that if you're like me and you would like a quilt, but you don't know how to quilt, I could still utilize you?
Yes, yes. So for example, I had a friend come in the other day and she found a pieced top, which is what this is. This is just the quilt in the beginning phases.
Okay.
And that's where you sew all the pieces together to create the top. So that's the piecing part of it.
Okay.
And once it's pieced, then it comes to us and we put the batting and the backing on and it's actually quilted. So my
Okay.
friend found a pieced top that her mother, who has since passed, pieced years ago. And so she came in and we embroidered on the back of for the backing that who had pieced it and when, and now it'll go on the quilting machine, and instead of it just being folded and put in a box in a closet,
Right.
her daughter now gets to enjoy something that mom made.
So what a lovely thing.
Oh, I know.
So this quilt that you have here is kind of fitting, this piece, because y'all have a new granddaughter, Lauren, who we just talked about, has a new baby,
Yes,
Ruby.
Ruby, yes.
So if you have a new grandchild maybe in your life and you want to make a quilt for them, you could come in and pick out an idea.
Right.
Then you can create the masterpiece.
Yes, you can either start from scratch and piece it and then bring it to us to quilt, or you can have something that you may have already started that you just want us to quilt.
Okay. I mentioned graduations. You and I had been talking before the cameras began to roll. I was thinking just simply about a keepsake quilt that someone might make for their graduate with T-shirts and that kind of thing.
Right.
which
T-shirt
I'm-
quilts are really popular.
become very, and you can talk on that. But you said that one of the big things you're seeing now is that people are buying sewing machines for graduates because they can begin a bit of a business on the side.
Exactly. We've had just in the last 2 weeks, grandparents come in because they have granddaughters that are graduating from high school who are going to college, and it's a great way for them to have a little cottage industry out of their dorm room. And so they're buying them machines so that they can create things for the kids that they're in school with.
You know, one of the things that we saw with COVID was how quickly the inventory of whatever you're looking for can be depleted, right?
Oh, yes.
You took what you could find.
Right.
So with clothing, I would think that a lot of people got a resurged interest in sewing
Yes.
because you couldn't always find the fashion you were looking
Right.
for.
We have an incredible resurgence in sewing, quilting, embroidery, all of it. And it's still difficult. We have a waiting list that we're working our way through as we get machines in. They're assigned to the people who have already purchased.
Oh, wow.
So it's not that it's gotten any better as far as that goes. It's just everybody is sewing now. They see the need for it, whether they're recycling garments or they're creating an Etsy business, they're quilting, they're embroidering. It's endless.
Does it have to be difficult though, Melanie?
No,
It's not hard.
it's not. This is just straight stitching.
When I was growing up, my grandmothers both sewed, and I had one that crocheted and one that did needlepoint and embroidery. So I learned a little bit. I've forgotten it over the years, but it was very calming
Yes.
to sit with them and do embroidery.
There are times that I'm watching football with my husband. I see him over in the corner. And that's what I'm doing is I'm either planning out a quilt or I'm thinking about what I'm going to do, or handwork has always been something that women love to do. And there's also a resurgence in men. We oftentimes focus on the females as the ones who sew, but it's not that anymore. We have men coming in all the time, and especially I find the interest is engineering, because if you're an engineer, you like to take things and put them together.
Right.
And it's the same way with a quilt. You cut pieces apart of a certain fabric, and then they have to fit together correctly.
True. So
To
it could
make a
also be
beautiful
a
quilt.
collaborative effort, right?
Yes,
People
yes.
could do it together.
And it's fun to watch people come in and they spend hours in here coordinating their fabrics and, you know, what the values of the fabric tones are going to be. It's just incredible to watch it go from a flat bolt of fabric to an incredible masterpiece that they're now going to either keep or hand off to somebody for a gift.
So you kind of led me to where I was going to go, which is for someone like me, except that you're such an easy person to talk to and the other people who work here just welcome you in.
Yes.
It could be a little bit intimidating if you don't feel comfortable
Right.
with the terminology and the verbiage.
Right.
But you don't make people feel in a hurry
No.
when they come in here. You want them to linger and let their eye find what
We
they're
have little
looking for.
nameplates we could put on the table for you because you're a regular customer.
But you also have classes. I know you've got one coming up in April, and it has
Yes.
nothing to do with quilting, right?
Right. So we do classes pertaining to sewing, quilting, embroidery, even it gets into the computer realm of it for digitizing, so that if you have a design in mind that you've drawn and you want to see that transformed into a quilt pattern, then we'll actually digitize that design that maybe you drew or somebody else drew, and then that design could be transformed into computer work that's now being quilted on your quilt.
Okay, does that mean, here I'll go again with graduation or a wedding gift idea? What if you had a picture that someone had drawn? Maybe you have somebody who's getting married and she's a nice artist. Could you take her drawing
Yes.
and turn it into a quilt?
Yes. Yes. In fact, my daughter's first quilt she ever quilted, she had just learned, back when they taught cursive, she had learned how to write her name. And so I took her name that she did in her handwriting and digitized it and turned it into a quilting design. So the first quilt she ever made is quilted in her name in her own handwriting.
I'm not going to remember your background enough, and I won't make you tell it to me all over again.
Okay.
But I know here you are the successful business owner and lecturer, if you will, you know,
Right.
guiding people. But you have an artistic background yourself, don't you?
Well, I do have, yes, I do. I always loved art in high school, so I would do that instead of home ec because you had that option. So I've always leaned toward art. My degree is in art and textiles, so I just love the fact that I can use threads and fabrics as my medium. And even though I've done oil painting and watercolors and all that stuff, this is where it comes to life for me because this is more three-dimensional.
Well, I say that because you would hire an interior decorator if you were looking to redo your kitchen. You would have some basic ideas, and then you would hire someone who had the eye to bring it. It's the same idea here.
Same
if you
thing.
have the idea, Melanie can help you get from point A to point B.
Yes, and we love it. That's what we do. We consult with people as far as colors and threads and options for what to put on their quilts.
Well, thank you for welcoming me into your garden today.
Oh, I love my garden. You can come anytime, Julie.
And you can too. So it's Ready, Set, Sew over in East Ridge. watch, if you go on their website, you
Yes.
can see about all the different classes that they have coming up. But make sure you look at the one for April, because if you are a novice person just looking to get involved with some things to make your home a bit more cheery, this might be the very class you're looking for.
Yes, thanks for coming, Julie.
Thank you.
The Filet-O-Fish